the game while you listen.
What's going on here?
But this ragtag crew of adventurers is covering the problems of the average player.
Where should I begin?
Discussing the home brews, modules, and the latest content for all things D&D.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
It's Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captains recipes for everything.
What you're feeling is so normal and perfectly natural.
With your host, the Pirate Captain.
Everybody loves me, and I don't know why. I'm an asshole. I really am. The Pirate Captain is a dick.
Chef Bolgg.
Let me take a couple steps back so I can, really get this point across.
It's bullshit!
And Loke the Bard.
Instead of making a deal with Cthulhu or, the greater devil, you found an imp who was willing to give you dark vision in exchange for a gallon of blood.
With a little mayhem, mischief, and a bit of bardic charisma, it's time for the show.
Well, that's right. We're back at it, boys and girls and people of all ages. You're ready, Bolgg. You fed us very well. I'm surprised. I don't want to know what was in the mystery meat souffle, but it was quite delicious, quite delicious.
The mystery is elf.
Well, I asked not to be told, and I should have known better than that. This is Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captains recipes for everything. As always, with me, my bestest buddy, Bolgg.
That's me.
Loke.
Here I am.
And Mr. Producer.
Hey, guys.
We are a D&D podcast. We talk about all things D&D. We used to talk about just the rules and the different things that we come up with, and then we ran out of rules and different things that we come up with. So now we just talk about D&D stuff. Sometimes we get into Magic the Gathering. There's all different things that we get into. Don't forget, you can always find us wherever you want to go. Just search up Chef Bolgg and the Pirate. Not that one. Yeah. Live stuff, people. Live stuff. Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captains recipes for everything. So that's simple. If you can find Chef Bolgg, you can find the Pirate Captain everywhere. I recommend you like, subscribe, share, follow this podcast or this video, however you're getting your content. We want you to do that. Do us a favor. It really helps us out. Make sure you do a subscribe over on our YouTube page. I have that up for those of you in video world. It really helps out. You guys will also be, if you're on the YouTube, you can catch us every other Friday for a galley episode. There wasn't one this Friday because we're on the other episode. It is next Friday. We'll be having a galley episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to what we're going to be talking about. That's ones where we get a little bit more pop culture-y, where we kind of like talk about like gaming and stuff and spend 15 to 20 minutes talking about why One Piece is better than Dragon Ball Z. We all know, and no arguments there. Good. Don't forget,
not on this show.
Yeah,
It's the following.
It's not on this one. Don't forget. Actually, not don't forget. This is actually new. Our buddy Bolgg has set up his own shop on Etsy where you can buy one of our T-shirts. We'd love to see you out there wearing them. You can go to Etsy and just search "Cover Them Nips." COVERTHEMNIPS. You can wear one of our shirts, and if we see you around there, we'll give you a nice crisp high five. Especially if you're in Ohio or if you're in the Florida area. Big show to get into. Want to first off say happy Thanksgiving to me crew and to all of you listeners out there, wherever you're viewing this podcast or watching, listening, wherever. Happy Thanksgiving.
I'm giving thanks that you just doxed the shit out of me.
You live in,
it's got my area and my name. Thank you.
Well, I can't.
He doxed us on the last galley anyways. So.
Yeah, that's true. I did dox us on the last galley, but look, I'll fix that down the line. Just put it. Mr. Producer, put it.
Just a quick legal name change, address change.
Yeah.
It's only a couple $100.
I mean, that's what you get for putting your information front and center on something you knew I got to show people. I'm sorry. I'm a pirate. I'm not a good person. In fact, if you listen to the intro, it in fact says I'm an asshole. I don't know why everybody loves me. I had to explain that one to my family during our like mini Thanksgiving that we had up here. Like how I've high five people and got a call after calling them an asshole and got a high five from them. It's like, I don't know how I did that. I just do. Oh, all right. We got a show to get into today. You're seeing right there a little bit of the Baldur's Gate thing, but I want to talk about the big thing right now. Obviously they're still trying to push this whole like 5e, 0.2, 0.5, 0.3 crap that they've got going on. And one of the classes that I was super excited about coming out no longer is coming out. And they said this in their last like video update, but we got so bogged down with what was going on there and them
How bad the video was.
Oh, how bad the video was, how bad what's his name was, who
Yeah.
You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eye.
and just like that creepy thing look that what's his name had when he was looking at Jeremy Crawford. He was like, I'm just please don't eat my soul, Jeremy. But the big thing right now that they're doing, and it absolutely infuriates me because it was actually content that I really liked for the fighter. It's a class style that I've been asking for a long time, which is just a straight up knuckle duster, is that they're getting rid of the brawler.
We did almost a whole episode on the brawler, so
Oh yeah,
if you're interested in all the details on the brawler specifically, go back through our history and watch some of our old videos.
Absolutely. You know it's easy to find that one because we labeled it how you can wield a baby as a fighter in this new edition, and yeah, that's the name of the episode. I'm 100% on that one. Hold on. Newsroom, how to wield a baby with the 6th edition fighter. Yeah. You could literally, you just run out like you're running into combat and you're like, all your weapons are stored in your cart or maybe outside of town and you walk out and then there's a wheelbarrow of dead babies and weapons next to you. And then the scene flashes and your fighter's out there and he's got 2 babies behind him, like nunchucks or maces or something like that, because they do damage. And they would actually do more damage probably than the sword would based on the fighter talents. The brawler talents. It was a really cool concept. Not so much the dead baby part, but it was really cool that we were finally getting a brawler.
Yeah, it was something different that you could do with a fighter than the traditional knight versus Gish versus
like the
cavalier, general.
Yeah, the cavalier versus the champion versus the Eldritch Knight. Like it was finally a way to make melee combat somewhat fun because the monk really lacks on that. The monk really, like, you have the idea of using your fists for your unarmed strikes, but you can still use regular weapons, but it's not the same as if you were to do they have their melee die, but if you're a monk that ends up like using a staff or something like that, or like you're a Kinsei monk and you're using weapons, like your melee attacks don't really do much. But this brawler fighter, Mr. Producer, can you find that and pull it up for me and send me a link to that? The 6E brawler fighter from what it was. It's in an older playtest. It should still be available.
I want to say off the top of my head it was 7.
So yeah, just shoot me a link with the page number on that, and a page number so I can go to it and pull it up. But they've announced that they're not taking it out. But here's the thing. I don't know if we talked about this in the past or if we've been off screen talking about it, where they're trying to make like a trifecta or a quadfecta of this one. Like they're trying to have 4 new subclasses for the different classes when they come out for 5e. Like that's the thing. Like they really want to make sure that like there's variations in what you're going to be able to play.
Unlike the original player's handbook where some classes got 2 subclasses and some got 10. This new book is supposed to have 4 subclasses for all classes.
In the defense of the wizard, that was done with them to have like the different, like their classes were kind of based off their schools. Like I like necromancy should have been for sure like a school, but like, and I get it. You want to kind of buff certain spells and things like that. Like you want to have maybe conjuration be a little bit stronger, but maybe just make those like feats for the wizard, because the wizards weren't getting everything every level. But you could think about, he's got it for me.
Yeah, it was an easy solution for them to up the count. They when they were putting the new book out, they wanted to be able to say, there are over 200 classes or whatever on the advertiser or subclasses or and by giving the cleric and the mage the large volume they did, that total count goes way up compared to where certain classes got shafted where there's only 2.
Yeah, but like, and not and because I do want to focus on the brawler, but like I said, if you'd have done this with a wizard, but like where every few levels where it was missing abilities, you gave it a chance to be better in one of the schools of magic, like, and you could always go back to like a previous form, like kind of like how warlocks get eldritch evocations, like wizards just got better at certain schools of magic where they would maybe put their time in. So the abilities that you would get as an abjuration wizard could be learned on that blank level. So you get like 1 feat, and then as long as it you meet the level criteria, you could get that.
Yeah.
But improvised expert, this is the ability we were talking about where you can actually, wield a baby. Improvised expert, you are proficient with improvised weapons. Whenever you finish a long rest, choose a weapon property from one-handed list and from the one-handed two-handed list until the end of your next long rest. That was dumb for them to do that. The one-handed choice applies to one-handed. In addition, whenever you attack with improvised weapons, you can give it one of the following mastery properties for the attack, depending upon whether it can be wielded with one or two hands. Like it's.
What's the Vex do? One hand stab slow Vex. You see that for the improvised expert?
The improvised expert. Where you seeing Vex?
That's one of the weapon masteries.
Yeah, because you see over here on the left.
Oh no! It's in the fighter set. Like it's in a whole separate section with the weapon masteries too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You're right on that one. My bad. But anyway, so like you got in here, like improvised specialist, you are a master in making ordinary deadly. Whenever you hit a creature with an improvised weapon, you can add your proficiency bonus. Like it made you just being like a tavern. It made a tavern brawler no longer a feat. It made it to where you were.
Well, and you saw that's a D12.
Yeah, we talked about that though. Like that I said that it was kind of bad, that it needed to be very different. And
that's you're doing great sword damage with an improvised weapon,
bro. Dead baby nunchucks, they hurt.
Yeah.
What I know you guys probably covered it in the previous episode, but what does the brawler do better than the monk?
They have different, like they have those specialties that they could do, like the sap.
They didn't have key points,
and they don't have key points either. Yeah. You have like dirty fighting. You have advantage on attack rolls made with improvised weapons and unarmed strikes. You don't get that as a monk, despite probably being there. Weapons
and you don't get any of the stunning strikes or the shadow step or any of the more mystical side of what a monk is.
Right. You're just
you are a straight fighter.
You're just going out there throwing hands, baby. Yeah. And babies.
It's more like the difference between a professional boxer type hand-to-hand combat fighter versus a Shaolin monk. They're completely different styles and background.
Yeah. So it used to be like you can take a chair, like where it was kind of like special to take a chair and it was only locked to like a D4 of damage, no matter who wielded it. Like this class kind of makes it to where now when I pick up a chair or a baby, it could do a D12 of damage. So that's kind of fun. And then they also have unarmed specialists that makes them different. Your unarmed strikes improve to a D8. Like you have to wait to get to level 18 to do that versus monks. Your just die generally gets stronger throughout the fight. But here's the real question though. Like, what are they going to put that in there? If they want to give make sure every class has that, we're probably going to see the basic three, the Eldritch Knight, the Champion, and the Battle Master. Like I guarantee we're going to see those three. But
and they've said they wanted these classes to like play off of each, like the example they give is with the sorcerer, the chaos of the wild mage sorcerer is balanced with the order of the clockwork sorcerer. And so with the fighter, that you've got the plain ass, boring ass champion balanced with the magical Eldritch Knight, and the uncomplicated brawler was supposed to balance with the battle master's high tactician smartness.
Well, I mean,
so we still got that hole on the dumb fighter side, I guess, is what the hole is.
Because even now, like if you were to put the Eldritch Knight, the Knight, which is an actual, or the Cavalier, to make it simple, or the Champion and the Battle Master. Let's say those are your four right there. They don't really contradict each other. We've talked in the past. The fighter is the most plain Jane character you can play. Yeah. I still think it's the best tank in the game because it's just plain Jane. It's just the plain Jane of all the classes. But I thought with the brawler, it kind of actually made the fighter kind of varied. So now we got to see something different that wasn't just like sword and shield, like we're just running through it to do what we got to do. No, you actually had some abilities to do different things.
Yeah, and thinking of the existing fighter subtypes that are in Tasha's, in Xanthar's, and all the other ones, I can't think of a good balancing. They'll probably do something boring like the Cavalier.
I really hope not. That is like a wasted subclass.
Yeah, but because their giant one and their rune knight one are basically the same thing. Just one is an improved version of the other.
Yeah, I like the Ruin Knight though. Like the Ruin Knight was fun.
The Rune Knight was good, and then they said, okay, we'll just make that better, and the new giant one is just ridiculously.
Yeah, the Ruin Knight was cool, and I actually I would pick the Ruin Knight to kind of be in there to balance it out because it wasn't like straight magical. Like it was magic without actually being like magical.
Right.
If you get my idea behind it, it was more like inscribing things. Like you weren't actually the source of your spells, like an Eldritch Knight.
Right.
And I like that. I like being able to like change your ruins to meet your combat style too, which was awesome. So I wouldn't mind them picking the Rune Knight to play in a game. I just don't want to see the Cavalier. And it's not that I have a problem with the Cavalier. I like the Cavalier, but you can't use it in like 90% of games. Like if you're playing like a one-off of like defend to keep, maybe. And even then, it depends upon what level you're starting at, because they really don't get all their good abilities towards later end. So it all depends upon like where your one shot starts. But it's such a niche one to play. Like the Cavalier should honestly be a feat. Like it shouldn't actually be a subclass for fighter. And that's like
I could be down with that because like, are you going to be mounted in a dungeon?
And that's so dependent on your DM's campaign, whether a campaign where everybody's mounted and fighting a lot versus one where you're going through tiny court, spelunking through the dungeon caves.
Maybe you're even on just a courtyard or something like that.
Yeah, they're very different style campaigns. If you picked your Cavalier character and your DM's running a spelunking campaign, you've just wasted half of your level ups because
yeah. And then not even so much as that. Like, let's say you make it a feat. Let's say you make the Cavalier a feat, and then it gives you, let's say it gives you like warcasting if you're on a mount, if you're like a caster or something like that, so you can cast while you're riding. Because holding concentration while you're getting bounced up and down on a horse just doesn't seem like a legit thing. And you're just like, yeah, I'm trying to cast the spell, and
just call it mounted combat, and boom.
Well, I mean, Cavalier, I think is a cool name for it, because
the Cavalier brings to mind a certain type of mounted combat, lance and spear and things like that. But I think just calling it mounted combat or mounted combatant.
It's actually not even like a term for like what we're using it for. The term Cavalier was first used by the Roundheads as a term of abuse for wealthier royalist supporters of King Charles I and his son King Charles II of England during the English Civil War. So it wasn't even like for the knight. Gee, you know what? Let's.
I'm a Cavalier. Yeah, you're a knobhead, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Come on, bro. No one likes you.
Yeah.
But I think you just leave it as Cavalier, because then it kind of like gets you in that mindset, like, okay, I can do mounted combat. Like, because even in what's the game? I'm thinking of it. Fire Emblem. There are some knights that were able to cast spells in some of the later games that they could cast spells while mounted, which was really cool.
Well,
so you got the benefits of being mounted and the ability to cast spells.
It's like the ranger, the ranger that has a dragon.
Yeah,
the Dragon Knight. Very cool in concept. That dragon's not fitting in a dungeon.
Right.
Don't worry, Sparky. We're gonna get to barbecue goblins someday.
I mean, it would be awesome to play like a Wyvern Rider or one of the Griffin Riders.
Or
even that Dragoon Ranger. But the problem is, once you go into a dungeon, you've lost half of your stuff.
Oh, and also, like the Paladin's Greater Summon Steed that can summon a griffin or that, as your mount, how many of your party have flying mounts?
That's true.
On an average party. So how much use are you really going to get out of that flying mount?
Oh, sorry, burping.
So the paladin and the ranger are, the ranger's flying on his dragon, the paladin's flying on his griffin, and the rest of the party's sitting down on the ground like, what the hell?
They've got strings and they're being dragged on a sled.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, and I'm down, like I said, I'm down for making it like a feat. But to replace it with something I hope that they're gonna do Rune Knight, or like Rune Knight would be really cool to start really, 6th edition.
It would be better if they just went back to the drawing board on the brawler and tried to balance it.
Or a new
it wasn't broken.
A new subclass. I mean, they've still
that was a new subclass.
Yeah, but they've still got several more playtests coming out before they release these books. Go with another try for the reason they gave they said that the survey said it was stepping on the toes of the monk is the reason that it got such bad reviews, and that's why they're abandoning it.
Fix the freaking monk. That's your first problem.
Well, the monk is coming back out in more playtests.
Yeah.
However, so they need something in that slot that's not magical, that's a straight up fighter.
Okay.
Come out with a subclass that fills that hole, like a mage slayer, or an anti-magic type of subclass where you get advantages to interrupting concentration, or you get advantage.
Who the hell? I see what you've got marked there. Who the hell considers the barbarian the premier improvised melee attacker?
I don't know. That's what I was getting ready to. That's what I was, because it was going along with what Logue said. Like, they feel like it's stepping on toes of people, but unfortunately, it seems, and this comes from comicbook.com for those of you who are listening world. Unfortunately, it seems that playtesters felt that the subclass shared too much space with the monk, who specializes in unarmed combat, and the barbarian, who serves currently as the premier improvised attacker. I don't think so. When I think of barbarian, I always think of two-handed weapons. I don't even think of shield.
Two-handed weapons or two weapons in each
weapon
hand.
Fighting. Yeah.
Well, I think they're confusing. It's stepping on the savage attacker of the barbarian.
Yeah, not the improvised.
Not template. That's not the right word. I'm blanking on the word.
Feature.
Archetype.
Okay.
Yeah. It's stepping on the archetype of the savage attacker of the barbarian.
They need to fix that thing too, though, because that thing is lame as shit.
So what I would say is that, get away from the unarmed combat. Instead, focus on improvised combat as your thing, picking up something from the ground and bashing somebody's skull in with it.
I don't want to hear. Oh, I'm sorry, but I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, I was saying, like, that scale would work if they're only using an improvised weapon.
I don't
get rid of throwing hands, make it more about smashing a bottle and using it to cut somebody.
Nah, fuck. I still want to throw hands, bro. I still want to throw hands as a fighter. Like, I like the idea of mystical monk. Like, not everybody's good. I have to have Kai points, or I have to have the way of the freaking Shang-Chi out here to freaking throw hands. I don't think so. I like being able to just throw hands. But I also want to go, like, this idea of stepping on the toes of what other classes do. I really don't want to hear that from, and this is where I could kind of tell that these playtesters are not like actual playtesters, or these are not results from them, because that is all 5e has done with when they've released new classes of, well, we know that you could do this, so we're going to make this class able to do it too. And it's like, why? You've taken away class identity.
Most of your subclasses are class A with a touch of class B.
Exactly. So this idea there's like, oh, well, it's stepping on the toes. Bullshit.
Yeah. We'll give you a class that's a fighter with a touch of mage. We'll call it Eldritch Knight. We'll give you the thief class with a touch of mage, and we've got the arcane trickster.
That's all I'm saying. So this idea of like stepping on toes, I think that's their way. Like, they read the scale and they're like, this is probably what they thought.
Yeah.
And then
instead of going back and going, okay, how could we fix this?
Like I said, I don't like, I had my issues. I have to go back, man, and think about what I said. I had my issues, and I think it was more like I wanted to change some of the damage dice and move a couple things around.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's what I said. It's been so long since we've done that episode.
I think we were all in agreement on it too.
I think part of the thing is though, is because they're doing such a bad, if they had a great monk in one of these playtests, but if they already had a great monk, doing another class that was an unarmed combatant, I don't think would have ticked people off as much. I think part of the thing is that the monk is so bad.
It is.
They're like, fix this first.
It is.
And they're misinterpreting that fix this first as, no, we don't want this.
But I also don't want to see, I really don't want to see the fact, I don't want having to be the ability to like fight, like to throw hands, punch, kick, fight like that should not be tied behind, well, I have to go train with Jackie Chan over in Nepal for a couple of years before I can actually throw hands worth a damn. I should be able to like, all right, I grew up in the back streets and it was fighting rings and things like that made me tough as a fighter. And now I can actually fight with, let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Mic check.
There's a little bit of a scaling problem with that though, because that kind of a fighter gets into a fight with somebody wearing full plate armor. How are you punching through that full plate armor?
I'm going to tell you, you rock somebody's look, you ever have your shit rocked with a Kevlar on?
You're going to break your hand if you punch a steel plate armor.
I'm going to tell you, I've had my fun story time with the Pirate Captain. There I was, Afghanistan 2012. And we were on a convoy from Leatherneck to Delaram. And I saw something in the road and I slammed on the brakes and I gut checked my gunner. Like he ended up like hitting the 240 that he had, hit him square in the chest, knocked the wind out of him. And because I didn't give him a warning,
you should have saw that coming.
That 240 is not a saw, 249 is a saw. But I see what you did there. I'll take that. I'll take the appreciation of that. So I end up air checked him. He wouldn't have seen it anyway because that wasn't our sector of fire. Our sector of fire was over to the right when this happened. And so I ended up checking him with the thing. He reached down and freaking waylaid me across the head with his open hand in my helmet. And it rocked my world. You can rock somebody's world by hitting them in the, you don't even have to hit very hard. But if you're wearing a helmet and have somebody hit you in the head, that stuff hurts. He called it the attention getter. Yeah. And I got my butt chewed by him and my team leader about why I just slammed on the brakes. So that's what all I'm saying. You can still do damage against the plateware and stuff like that, but you're not going to find too many platewares either early on. You'll find like the half plates and stuff like that.
But by fourth or fifth level, almost every fighter that can wear full plate probably is.
So maybe there's,
and you got 15 more levels to go.
You're probably pretty you're probably pretty strong though as a fighter though, because you think about like blacksmiths. Think about guys that have worked in metal forges like a long time, and their body like toughens out. And I'm not saying like 1 through 4 is a long time. It all depends upon how you set your campaign leveling process up, but by the time you're getting there, you've probably been in some pretty good scraps. Your body is like tougher to where you can make these kind of hits. And are you going to be as effective probably as a monk? No, but then I would just play the monk. The idea is,
and the idea is the monk uses his ki and body, mind over matter, and that's what allows him. Just like you see in the people who are breaking the concrete bricks. Even though that's in the real world, that's kind of a trick.
Yeah, but what you got, Mr. Producer?
I'm sorry if this is a dumb question, but why, like for the brawler, why would I wait till level 15 to get a D12 from my improvised strikes when I could just pick up a great axe at level 1?
Pretty positive if you go back into my.
There was a lower.
There's another one too, but I'm pretty positive that was one of those things. Because the episode was like 2 months ago. I'm pretty positive that was one of those things that I said needed to be switched around, or that it needed a scaling dice because of that right there.
I think we were saying that we should switch to D6s, like having a scale of D6s to where the point where you're basically hitting at 20th level with a fireball with an improvised weapon, because there's no other way that fighter is going to be worth anything
Yeah.
at
Well,
that
yeah.
level.
With the fighter, you'd still have the multi-attack.
So
So
I'd have a
if you,
multi-attack with the axe.
Well, that's
yes,
Yeah, you're still
but
getting them. You're still yeah.
So you don't want, but I'm saying you don't want to hit them with like a fireball multi-attack, because then all of a
I
sudden
meant more like a fireball over the
Tot-
course of
total-
the attacks. Yeah.
2d6, 2d6, 2d6 for that your
Yeah.
3
Okay.
attacks, not yeah. I just
Yeah.
clarifying before.
Yeah, there were some things that we said just needed to be swapped and like just some minor adjustments. It's a really
So
good episode. Go back and check it out.
Yeah, I don't believe
I
I was there
maintain-
for
Like
that.
Tavern Brawler, you get like the plus of like a D4 on top of your strength. And this, I think there was a lower level, like 7th or 8th level, gave you like a D6 or something, and then the 15th or whatever level one gave you the D12.
Yeah.
So that D12 was, you're hitting with a baby the strength of a great axe, but you're already by that time you're already such a powerful character that you should be hitting with the strength of a great axe.
Yeah. So yeah, I maintain that it wasn't a bad class at all. It just needed tweaks.
But now that they're taking it out, like I said, I like, what do we do? What do you put in there? Like that was a fun idea and a concept. Like I said,
I think they need an anti-mage. That's what I think they need there.
So I think that would be actually really good in the Ruin Knight. Like the Ruin Knight, I think would actually be a solid pick for that spot.
Yeah, if they're going with an existing subclass, the Rune Knight would probably be the best one.
I feel like what they did with the Brawler was they took improvised weapon, improvised the Tavern Brawler feat and made a class out of it. Why don't they do that with the Mage Slayer?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think you could do it with the Rune Knight. I gotta pull up the Rune Knight. Hold on.
But the Rune Knight, you get like you can add fire to your weapon. You can.
So why not add?
You grow bigger.
So why not add abilities that give you like? Why not add runes that would actually help you fight mages and stuff like that? Like, because think about it, you're inscribing your weapon to help you fight out.
With the quadrant thing though, you've already got the Eldritch Knight magical, and you've got the champion, which is completely non-magical, and then you've got the high tactical non-magical battle master. I was thinking if you go across front, on the non-magical side, but across from the Eldritch, something's very different from the Eldritch Knight, an anti-Eldritch Knight, basically. What were they? The Dragon Age. What did they call it? The Templars in Dragon Age.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Dragon Age Inquisition, Dragon Age
Templars,
1, 2, and 3. Yeah. The Templar, basically the role of the Templar that was they were to fight mages was their role. So a class like that would fit very well into that slot.
Basic class attributes: they take less damage from magic, have advantage on saves against magic.
Yeah,
and deal more damage to magic users.
Especially as magic heavy as 5e is so magic. Like every class basically nowadays are magic. Even the champion is probably the only completely non-magical class out there. Yeah, because everybody has some kind of magical feature, magical special tweak nowadays,
which we really got to get away from. Like, I really want the game to be back to where it's I really want the game to where not everything is magical, not everybody is like you're special without having to be magical special, like would be really nice. And granted, I'm here making the argument that we need the Rune Knight in the game. If you're gonna get rid of the Brawler.
And technically, by what they're saying with the backwards compatibility, the Rune Knight will still be as part of the game.
Yeah, I'm not believing that thing for one bit. Like, you cannot make that argument to me and make a sane argument. Because I was reading some comments somewhere and people were doing their best, and I don't want to do their arguments injustice by not being able to pull it up. I don't remember where I got it, but they were like, "Well, you see, this is how it's going to work backwards." I was like, "That's not exactly how it's going to work." I think your arguments of it are going to be the thing. Like you're going to get to the point where you're going to have one player who wants to play one
The-
version of
the
it because he knows
2014
it's
class and the other
yeah.
plays the
because one is probably
2024.
going to be better. Like,
Yeah.
let's just be honest. And you just want to play the better one, which actually leads me into this next topic. I hate these. And granted, it's Game Rant. I'm not a big fan of Game Rant and their articles and stuff like that. But you know what I'm tired of seeing? I'm tired of seeing this headline right here. Best healing spells in Dungeons and Dragons in 5e. And I want to kind of get into let me show you where I was
I
kind of
hate
getting with
seeing
this.
random teeth. No thanks.
Alrighty. Well, I'll stop showing my teeth. But hold on. Was it right here? Join Dragons. There's like, when I was starting to look through here, it's like, yep, here we go. Best D&D monsters for indoor battles. Best for this, best for that. But like, they refresh, like no two searches are the same. If you research the same thing, it'll pull up different things. I was watching somebody talk about that they were explaining like how Google and stuff like works, and it's like you can search the same thing twice and it'll never be the same. But when I did a search, when I was pulling up topics and stuff for this episode while I was doing my prep for this stuff, it was like best for this and best for that and best for this, by the way, don't forget best for that. And it's like, bro, you're telling people like this is what it is, and you're going to have players that are not experimenting with anything else because they're looking at your article, especially new players. And this is very dangerous for new players, if you ask me, that they're going to go in there and they're going to, because they're going to do their research. They want to come in and not be a total goob at the game. And so they're going to be looking at it and go, oh, well, if I don't take, what does it say these best healing spells are?
Oh yeah, the optimizers. I mean, the game's been out for 10 years.
Power word heal. Yeah. Oh, I don't want to cut you off 1 second. Power word heal, vampiric touch, and aura vitality. So, and you were saying?
Well, they're wrong if those are the 3 best.
It bends the laws of physics to heal completely, instantly restoring hit points and ending certain conditions. I would say like freaking lay on hands is like the best.
Healing word is the game breaking healing spell. It's always has been.
Yeah, vampiric touch and well, it's their opinions. Granted, they're
you know what the best healing spell is?
You only need 1 hit point to not die. Healing word at a distance can give any player that 1 hit point, no save, no roll of the dice. So when a player drops, healing word pops them right back up.
The best healing spell in the game is the one you use to heal your buddy.
Counter spell from the bathroom. That's the best healing spell. But no, like look at this. Like,
that got me sidetracked from what I was saying about the optimizers. That like the system has been out for 10 years. The optimizers have been doing the math for 10 years. So what's the best in these situations?
I mean, it's more of a clickbait thing. Like, it got me to click on it, so it works. And I have a buddy of mine that, because I used to write articles, not like this exactly, for the radio station I used to work for down in Tampa, Go 98.7 The Chart. And I used to write articles like this. And one of the guys that was like coaching me on how to write these things, he's like, you know what? Don't consider it clickbait if you follow, like, it's only clickbait if you click on the article and you don't get anything out of it. He's like, then it's clickbait. Like, if you click on the article and you get something out of it, then it's not clickbait. So I looked at that one, but this one pretty much is clickbait because it's already stuff like power word heal. You should use power word heal because of this, and it'll even tell you who should use it. Like, oh, if you're where was it? Spirits, or of life, greater restoration, abjuration, beacon hope. There's a couple of them that says sometimes play D&D, just like it gives you like who should be using these spells: healing spirit, druids, and rangers. And you're taking the fun out of especially new players just experimenting in the game, like just figuring things out, like the easy way or the hard way, even like, oh man, we lost all the party, but because person died and I wasn't able to keep them up. And maybe healing word would have been that, that solve around, and maybe the DM, and it takes away from teaching moments too, from like DMs encouraging new players because they went in and they're like, well, the CBR, or sorry, freaking
Game
Rant, yeah, CBR, Game Rant, and a couple others are all the same to me because they're garbage.
They're all basically one company anyway.
Yeah, that's why they're all going under. But that's the story for another time. another episode of on Friday night, the Galley episode. But well, they say that you got to do that. This is the best, and the DM's like, well, it doesn't really fit in this situation, or this doesn't do that. Like here, use these monsters for indoor battles. Oh, because it probably doesn't say, well, maybe a dragon's just too big for an indoor battle, but then you go into a bigger cavern and there's a dragon that's stuck in there, kind of like the D&D movie, and you're like, oh, snaps. I still think that, oh man, that's another thing I can get on to for another long time. But that's the truth of it. That really is. It's
that and it kind of like restricts creativity and character creation. If you're looking at these lists and going, okay, if I'm a cleric, I need these healing spells. I am currently playing a cleric where I have no healing spells prepared. I'm purely a damage dealer. I mean, Mr. Producer and Loke can both attest to 2 weeks ago, we were playing and one of our characters went down, and I'm like, I guess I'll cast Spare the Dying.
Two of your players, 2 of the 6 that were on two, so a third of the team had dropped, and the cleric had no healing spells to.
Well, one of them was taken care of. Mr. Producer was taken care of. It was the other one that we're all somehow allowing to live. I begrudgingly use Spare the Dying.
Yeah,
begrudgingly.
Nigglewort's current character is called Greeble.
He's an abomination.
Yeah.
And then I'm the one that takes the flack for counterspelling him from the bathroom that one day. I was the hero y'all needed, not the one you deserve.
What makes the comedy work so well, though, is because Mr. Producer's vitriol for him came out of nowhere, and it's beautiful. But also, all of us just kind of follow along with like, should we save him? Really? But he's actually a nice character. He's not really blown the party up yet, being a wild magic sorcerer.
You're not playing with Nigglewort. That's like somebody wearing a Nigglewort skin suit.
Nigglewort is a wild mage sorcerer. He's just rolls so badly that it's only affected himself and not the rest of the party.
Yeah, but that's not Nigglewort. Nigglewort
he did summon a unicorn and then enter a warlock pact with that unicorn.
Well,
yeah, he is multi-class.
That's a first. Okay, so maybe it is Nigglewort. I don't want
sorry, real sidetrack there.
Yeah, really sidetrack there. I just don't want players to feel like they see these lists. This is more for new players. Experienced players, we're gonna play whatever the hell we want to play. That is the truth of this whole situation. We are gonna play whatever we want to play. It doesn't matter what the DM says. If I'm going to play, he's like, well, hey, look, you're not going to be able to ride your horse throughout there. I'm like, fuck it, I'm still playing a Cavalier because fuck Bolgg. Make Mr. Producer work over there, or screw Loke. Like that's the truth of it. We're going to play what we want to play. Now we'll probably talk with each other a little bit. Me and Felix would talk each other. We'd make complementary characters or antithesis characters sometimes because it was fun. But you have new players that are going to read these things and they're going to be like, I'm not doing that. This is not happening. And I don't want that. I absolutely don't want that. And look, if you really need clicks for an article like that, I don't know. Give me a better opinion on something. Like, why we actually need the brawler in this new 6th edition of D&D? That would be like an article. All right, let's see what your opinion is. I like reading opinion articles. That they're valid. Like you can sit there now, unless your opinion is like, well, we don't need the brawler because it steps on the toes of the barbarian. That's not a valid opinion. That's just an idiotic, moronic take. You should be shunned. Shun on you. I need a shun button.
Best of opinions are real easy because that's straight it. You don't have to give evidence. It's the best in my opinion.
Think of how many YouTube channels are just top 10 channels. One of the biggest channels on YouTube is Watch Mojo, which is just top 10s, top 20s, that kind of bullshit.
Yeah, and you have that Looper, and I'm going to tell you, their top 10s. I don't know who's voting for some of their top 10s. We really need to talk about some of those because some of their stuff is just like, bro, we need to step it back. I do like it when use the voice of Natsu. I like it when he does the anime episodes because I really enjoy Todd Habercorn. Gifted
the
singer.
Habs, yeah.
Gifted singer and everything. He's really good. I like his Watch Mojo videos, but I quit watching those a long time ago. But you're right, absolutely right. Top 10 things, and players will see that and they'll be like, "Well, I want to be in the top 10." And it's like, bro, don't worry, you'll be top 10. Look, if you're a cleric, if you're a player that's a cleric and you're coming in and you keep your party alive throughout the entire campaign, you're the number one cleric in the world. Like, it doesn't matter.
So what does that make Bolgg's cleric? Because he has no healing.
The cleric who does not heal.
That is we call that
someone who comes in and deals a shitload of damage in my first turn and then goes, okay, I'll back off now.
He's a bottle rocket.
But
That's
I
what
mean,
he
I
is.
guess to poke the bear, if you do all that damage one turn, we have a blood hunter and a paladin that do consistent damage throughout combat. So what utility are you providing outside
Burst
of that
damage.
first turn?
It's not
What happens
it's not
after that first
DPS.
turn now?
It's not DPS, it's burst. And I do have utility spells. I just usually don't have a utility for them.
He's a bottle rocket. That's what his class is. All right.
Yeah. I mean,
Sorry.
it was really a can I make an effective dex-based cleric? And yes, the answer is yes, I can.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a 19 AC.
You can, but should you?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm
just
having
because
fun.
you can.
Again, I'm having fun, so I am winning at D&D. There's no winning at D&D except if you're having fun.
And the rest of the party who's not having fun because they're like, heal me.
Well, and we do have a
I've been
paladin.
dropped
Paladin,
in 3 of the last 5 combats.
We have 2
paladin.
druids.
I have a paladin with lay on hand. No, you don't have 2 druids anymore. One of them died.
One druid. One
Did you
druid
kill
and a
off your
paladin.
friend?
You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. Have you died yet? Did you die?
Well, about that.
Felix's druid did die.
Yeah, he did die. He got
disintegrated.
Nothing I could do about that anyway.
Disintegrated? What the How bad of a healer are you? Here, I'm gonna heal you. Nat 1.
That I was not involved in that. Don't try and put that bad juju on me.
Oh man. But that's the best part about all of that though. Like if you're messing around like that, you're gonna have more stories like that if you're staying away from these top 10 lists of like, or just what's the best list anyway. Like ask your DM a little bit like, hey, do you think I should take this? But actually don't ask the DM, because the DM, if I was your DM, I would straight up lie to you just to make it miserable. And not to be an asshole on it. I would just be like, you'd be like, hey, do you think I should take Mass Healing Word or should I take Smite? Well, I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of goblins coming at you. You might want to take some Smite. And everybody's like, you little bad. You get into the next combat or the next mission, and like everybody's like hurt because it's a rampaging amount of goblins and they're beat the hell out of everybody, and everybody's kind of spread. And you're like, man, I bet you really wish you had Mass Healing Word over there, don't you? Everybody's looking at the cleric, and he's like, but the DM told me. I never said. I never said any of that.
In Bolgg's defense, the cleric doesn't have to be the party healer.
That is true.
Like I said, they started out with 2 druids, a paladin, and then Nigglewort's multi-class was a celestial warlock, which gets healing spells as well.
And at the beginning, I did have healing.
Yeah.
I just got rid of it.
4 of the 6 characters in the party already had healing.
See, what you're saying is 4 of the other 6 are slacking.
Right.
And, see, look, I have to come to Bolgg's defense on this one.
If I at the very beginning of the campaign say, look, I'm playing a tank, don't rely on me for healing, and then people complain when they're not getting healed, not my fault.
Hey, I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. You guys, I see. This is where you need me
with
back.
Burst damage.
This is where you need me back, so I can come in and just be like the hero you need, not the one you want. Because, gosh, you guys, I had to come in there.
You mean the
finger
body
pistols
bag we need, the meat shield?
Captain, can you remind me the last time you played a game of Dungeons and Dragons?
How many times did you get dropped in that same session?
That's why I said we need a meat shield. I'm trying to think of what I played. It's been a hot minute since I played Dungeons and Dragons. He's got me. Mr. Producer's got me
Last
there.
time you played with us before leaving, you played a catfolk monk, and you got dropped 4 times in a single.
No, I played
session.
a rabbit monk.
Oh,
I played
sorry,
a Hereford.
you're right. Hereford.
Yeah, get your
Hereford.
species,
Yeah.
jerk.
But you got dropped 4 times in one session.
That wasn't my fault. The one guy that was supposed to be my best friend, who was with me and behind me, I was like, "Oh, we're going in that same direction. Cool. I can double his output and speed. I will get there, start the fight. He's going to be right behind me." Oh, bro did a U-turn. He was like, button hook. And so I'm sitting there throwing hands, and all of a sudden I have 4 dudes fighting me. I'm like, man, you know what really helped? I was a tavern brawler. And no, I just got my face beat in, and my best friend Felix was supposed to be like right behind me, and he was like, nah, screw that.
I just realized I was hamstringing myself last session because I forgot to prepare an additional spell.
High five.
Whoops.
Yeah,
could have had some heals, but
you guys could have died even quicker. I don't know. Like with those lists and everything like that, it's just more annoying. And I tell you something else that's kind of annoying is the fact that we keep getting more and more of D&D shows that people play D&D, but nobody actually like makes like a cartoon series or like little like I wouldn't mind watching like Viva is it it's the guys that made the I gotta pull this up because
animated Spellbook doesn't make videos anymore, right?
I don't think
that
so.
was
he does. They just come out like instead of being every 2 weeks or whatever like he used to, you'll get like a new one once a month or.
I mean, animation eats up a lot of time, so I understand. And I like shout out to that dude because we learned a lot when he was like pumping out more videos. But I think I don't know what happened in between that. It's been a few years since he started, but learned a lot from that guy, and I really hope that he gets to get back and making more stuff because he did actually like use his real life stories to tell different things. But I'm talking more like I would like to see more stuff. Oop, hold on, that's coming out wrong spot.
I was thinking Crap Guide to D&D doesn't make D&D
Joe
videos
Cat?
anymore.
Yeah,
Really.
No, because he got into Final Fantasy 14 and he did really good stuff with the Final Fantasy 14 stuff. But I'm talking like Viva La Dirt League. Like these guys are awesome. We're not subscribed to them with our Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captains YouTube page. So by the way, go like and subscribe, share, follow us on that one. Really help us out. But they make really good content, and like Balin's Route is like one of my this was like a 36-minute movie. They made really good movie, and it was all crowdfunded and everything. And I highly, highly recommend going and see that. And I would rather see more stuff like this and maybe even longer form than and nothing against where is it? Nope. Get out of here. I hate it when it does this. Nope.
I would just argue, I'd argue that to make D&D true D&D content, you kind of need production level.
You don't
funding
though.
and
not really. It was like the Viva La Dirt League was crowdfunded and stuff like that, and it wasn't that much, and it's not.
Yeah, but to get that crowd, you have to already have made a couple things to get.
I mean, other than humans and elves, how if you're doing live action sketches, you need. You need makeup,
people that are walking
editing,
on their knees. I'm talking about Megadorfs, but no, look, he started playing Dungeons and Dragons as a kid in Portland. Now he does it professionally. Ned Donovan is starring a new streaming series called Encounter Party, which actors play Dungeons and Dragons. We have seen this concept 100 times.
All right.
Like everybody,
and
like
you notice what it's saying there is it's saying actors.
Yep.
Those are the ones that get me is because they're professional actors. If they're professional actors already, you might as well be doing scripted content.
Well, I guess to sidetrack real quick, isn't D&D itself coming out with its own show? I saw it popped up on the Pirate Captains Google feed earlier. Matthew Lilliard is doing some. Matthew Lilliard's Purple Worm.
But I'm not. Wrong share. There's something along with that that he's doing, and it's like for the D&D channel, and like I'm glad that he's coming back into prominence. A lot of that's from the Five Nights at Freddy's. He's not a bad actor. I swear. Why is it? Oh, it's okay now. It's sharing the right one. But these guys make these like little mini videos. Like you have Epic NPC Man and stuff like that. I would rather them see them make D&D content like this and hire these guys out, dude. They're over in the UK and they do really good stuff. And it's always it's really good. Like you look like some of these 4.5 million views, 14 million views. Granted, these are videos are like 7 years old and stuff like that. But all their stuff is really good. You can make great D&D content or get there's that one channel that makes it and they do like the songs and stuff like that. I know your dad's a big fan of it, Bolg, and him and
the one with where it rolls the natural one at the beginning, and I just can't remember the actual name.
I know that he watches it with Bakaw's daughter all the time. Like it's their favorite thing to like kind of sit down and watch. And I'm fine. Like that's more the D&D content I want to see. I don't want to see people playing the game. There's a reason when we started this podcast that we were like, we're not playing the game. Like we play the game already because you can go out and find 1,001 of these podcasts where people or video casts or whatever of people playing the game. I'm tired of seeing that. I want to see people like make cool D&D stuff because that's how you get hyped up. People up to play or watch D&D or even just play. The main thing is play D&D. Sorry, still a little exhausted. It's been a long Thanksgiving, but you get them hyped up because then they'll see something and they're like, maybe I want to make Balin from the Viva La Dirt League and make him a character to play. And it's just Fisher and it's pretty much like Farmer Fred or something like that. And you have a good time with it. But if you're watching people play, they're going to be playing the same things that you already play and the things that you already do. And that's just like boring. Like, I don't want to sit there and watch somebody else have a good time. Like, I get that's the idea behind Twitch streaming and stuff like that. But a lot of Twitch streamers, they're terrible. They really are. They're not personalities. And it's not to be mean to them. But some of them, you watch them and they're just like,
you're telling me you don't want to watch 1,300 hours of Critical Role playing D&D?
oh, dude.
I'll just watch Legends of Vox Machina. Thank you.
I'm going to do that.
At least in that case, those are professional voice actors who add in the special voices and the quality, and they have the production. I mean, they're making a couple $1 million a year off that channel. They've got the production value and the funding to make it a good show. Whereas some of these others aren't putting that level into it.
Yeah. Now, all this being said, that in the one you just showed, the Encounter, what is it? Encounter Party? That's coming to the 24-hour D&D channel on Paramount Plus and Freevee. And I think there's also going to be a live action D&D series. They're going to have the movie on there. Obviously they're going to have the 80s cartoon on there, but they've also got things like Heroes Feast, which will be a challenge cooking show.
That's that.
Featuring like Matthew Lillard and other big names in the D&D community making up recipes, which, hey, hi guys, I'll go on there.
Yeah.
That's
just like that's kind of cool, but that's kind of like, I don't know, that's just not like kind of weird D&D. That's like having Gordon Ramsay come on and work on like, I don't know, nanny or like what was like the UK nanny shows and stuff like that.
And there's another one.
Which actually, you know what? Scratch that. That'd be hilarious.
It's Faster Purple Worm Kill.
That's the one that Mr. Producer was talking about. That one would be Matthew Lillard.
Yep.
They switch out every week, right? Or is it?
It's every day has its own programming.
I'm
if they were to build that up and really get that channel going,
well, your problem
it might be worth it, but as long as they don't fill it, like you said, with a bunch of people playing D&D.
I think
unless it's like that show where kids sitting around playing D&D and then it transfers to their imagination.
I think it's I think you're right, but I think putting it on Peacock and Freevee isn't going to help that. Like it should just be YouTube. Like they should really go into YouTube, Wizards of the Coast, and
Is
make
that what
a
they're
side.
doing?
Yeah, it's all going to be on
Paramount Plus and Freevee.
Yeah,
Paramount.
24-hour streaming now.
I think that it really should just go to YouTube and make YouTube things where people can sit down and just like throw it up in the background like they do with us. All right. We're meant to be where you can listen into the background. That's why we do the videos and everything. We put it on YouTube and all that stuff. So that way we can kind of really like you don't have to pay exact attention to us. We'll talk about what we're doing on if we're sharing a screen. Sorry about that, a little burpy. Sharing a screen or something like that where I'm talking about things, but that's it. Like I'm not here to we're not bogging you down with a bunch of stuff. You should be able to have a lot of this content that you can put in the background and not pay attention to. And I think YouTube would be a lot better. They're going to get a lot more traffic because Peacock's already kind of like set in a little, or like not Peacock, like no one's really going to Peacock. I think the only reason I got Peacock was because of the new South Park special. That was it. So
yeah, Peacock probably paid them to be the one on Peacock instead of on YouTube, because otherwise I don't see why it would be on there.
Yeah. But I'm just not seeing like that channel doing a lot of good. And it sucks because I'm sure Donovan's a good guy and he probably will have some really good content, but I'm tired of seeing actors. I still stand behind. I think the best version of D&D being played was Harmon Quest with Dan Harmon and all his friends. And oh yeah, put a cat in it. That's how we get all the views. Yep. But Harmon Quest, I think, was the best version of that because it was animated. It was Dan Harmon and all his friends from Community, like all the writers and stuff from Community. And Community is like a critically acclaimed show, and it did really well because they all gelled well with each other.
Except for Chevy Chase.
Yeah, except for Chevy Chase. Well, Chevy Chase was never on Harmon Quest, and that's Chevy Chase's problem. But I get what you're saying about the yeah. But it was really good, and I recommend it. It's still out there. I don't know where to find it though anymore because the streaming service it was on is no longer there. Because it was on Rooster Teeth, and I don't know where Rooster Teeth is now. I know it moved somewhere, but it was probably the best well done version of like D&D on like people playing D&D and watching it, because it wasn't so much as them playing D&D. That theirs was more role play versus actually like numbers and stuff like that. Like the numbers were a side part of it.
This thing it's on Crunchyroll.
Is it on Crunchyroll? Okay, because I think Crunchyroll did buy up Rooster Teeth, so I think they got absorbed into that, which is good, and I highly recommend it. Go watch Harmon Quest. It's really good up until like the last season, and it kind of feels like they knew they were on their way out because Rooster Teeth just couldn't afford, like it was like for animation, sub animation and like real stuff, like going back and forth, a lot of money. Really good shots, so like really good camera shots.
What would be kind of interesting is if you took some of these podcasts that have done it and have a good listener base and just animate those like they did for Legend of Vox Machina, and you put them under the D&D brand. Like there's a great podcast, Dungeons and Daddies, which is not a BDSM podcast except for one episode, but it's a great podcast about people who are playing as dads and having to track down their kids, and it's really funny, really good, some really good heartfelt moments in there too. And I think it would be awesome as an animated series where you see just a bunch of guys in their 30s, 40s, and 50s running around in a fantasy land.
I just don't know if I could handle a whole hour of listening to a Bolgg like dad joke. That's where I would. And then
the thing is in the podcast, that's a mechanic. You take damage for dad jokes.
I don't know. Oh, all right. And I think that's the end of it. It's been a good episode. We're all still tired from Thanksgiving, eating all the leftovers. So let's go ahead
Thanksgiving.
and
I'm still tired from the concert I was at last week.
Last week. Oh, well, let's go ahead and say our goodbyes. Make sure you go find us everywhere you can. Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captains, recipes for everything. Like, subscribe, share. Do us a solid. Just tell your friends about us if you really enjoy this content. Make them listen to us. Like, make them get on their phone and listen to it. Don't share it on your phone, because then they're going to be like, oh, well, I couldn't find it. Find it for them. It's very easy. Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captains, recipes for everything. If you have any questions, gripes, comments, you can always email us at bolgandpc@gmail.com, or you can go over to our YouTube. Oh, I hate that it does. I really, really hate that. I need to figure out if there's a fix for that. You can find us on Facebook or on YouTube as well. Definitely come over and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us out. Throw us a like on any of our videos. That also helps us out. Drop a comment if you don't like something we're saying. Absolutely, it's okay. We respond to all of this. We're also on Twitter. It's very easy to find us. Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captains, recipes for everything. With that being said, say goodbye, Bolgg.
Goodbye, Bolgg.
Say goodbye, Luke.
Yep.
Say goodbye, Mr. Producer.
Later, guys.
Happy adventure. Yar.
You've been listening to Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything, featuring Loke the Bard. Like, follow, subscribe, and share this podcast. You can also find them on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search for Chef Bolgg and the Pirate Captain's Recipes for Everything. Questions, comments, and mutiny requests can be sent to bolgandpc@gmail.com. And as always, happy adventures.